Wow, I have a very special guest in front of me. I have the alpha male of Objective Personality Tribe, Dave Superpowers.
I'll take
Welcome.
it. Thanks a lot. Great to be
Yeah.
here.
How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. I've really been enjoying the series you've been doing and interviewing the people and seeing how much they're owning this code and these patterns for themselves. It's just been a wonderful, loving experience to see other people really take this on. So it's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks for the compliment. Yeah, I'm enjoying it and I'm really happy to have you, man, for sure.
Yeah.
And this is like Valentine's Day, so where's the alpha queen?
Oh, it is. It is Valentine's Day. Whoa. She's upstairs. We're
Oh,
gonna go on a date tonight to
all
a
right.
fancy restaurant.
Have fun, man.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
for
so
reminding me of that.
yeah, I have like a lot of questions for you. So
Yeah.
maybe we should just like jump in. We're like, you were doing MBTI stuff. Like I was really appreciating what you were doing, like the original stuff, because
Yeah.
you were going into the functions, you're doing stuff that other people weren't doing at the time, and then you just vanished. So
Right.
like how did you get there? Like, and then I also know yeah, I'm gonna just put it all on the table right now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I also know you were doing your practice business. I don't know if you knew it was a practice business or not, but like, was that before, after? What's going on there?
Yeah. So the quick rundown story. So like I'm older, I'm 41. So like I got started in the Myers-Briggs stuff when I was like 2021 when I was getting married for the first time. So I've been married
Oh,
for
wow.
about 14 years and divorced, in my early 30s, which was one of the reasons that I disappeared, which I'll get to that in a minute.
Right.
And so I had first kind of heard about the Myers-Briggs stuff way back then, like the year 1999. And I'd also had a fascination with hypnosis because I saw that at my high school 1996 grad night. So I was fascinated in hypnosis and fascinated in this personality stuff, but really didn't, what are you going to do? There was no information about it because, the internet really wasn't around. And so when we got into the radio controlled airplane business, which was around 2004, I was kind of reintroduced to the Myers-Briggs stuff because the internet was kind of coming online and there were sites that were popping up that had Myers-Briggs material, but I didn't have any need for it. I'm like, oh, cool, But once we got into sales and we started to see the repetitive patterns of the customers, the ISTJ guys in particular, with the little model planes and building them and controlling them, and hanging out with those guys for a lot of years and have a lot of them were really good friends and stuff. And then seeing the patterns with myself and my wife at the time and business partners, like you're locked in an office with somebody for 18 hours a day, and like you get to know them in the worst kind of ways and the best kind of ways, So we're like, these patterns that we're seeing in the emails or in ourselves, like, is that what this Myers-Briggs stuff is? So we went back to the Myers-Briggs and kind of started to study it from that angle. Went, wow, this is really useful and really fascinating.
So who's
And
we?
then this was me. It was my wife at the time. I had a business partner, and then there was a couple other people that would come in from time to time, but it was really kind of us solid three. Shannon didn't come in till about 2011. That's when I started kind of
Oh,
talking
wow.
with her. And so so when we did the first Dave Superpowers videos in 2011 and 12, right in there, it was like a branding move or a marketing move because we had gotten in early on YouTube with the
Right.
RC channel and built up like 100 million views. So we were like gangster back in the day on YouTube on that channel. And so we saw the internet filling up, the spots taking up, and we wanted to possibly kind of reserve that Myers-Briggs spot. So we threw up a
Smart.
channel. Yeah, we threw up a channel real quick. We crapped out a few videos to kind of get it going. And like, okay, even before everybody was there. But then my life collapsed. The business started having hard times, divorce coming, falling out with a business partner, basically hitting like a midlife crisis because I kind of got started in my 20s. Therefore, like blow things up by my 30s and just get it over with.
Right.
So at that time, it's like, I don't want to keep doing personality videos when my life is imploding and getting restarted, as well as like the personality stuff had a lot of answers. Like, why is everybody calling me a controlling a-hole? Like, why am I not able to manage the taxes and all the sensory things that according to this profile says that I suck at,
Right.
So it was taking it kind of very seriously and applying it to personal life and going, I got to rebuild me, and using this function stuff kind of as a map because you could see it in others.
Right. Did you know your
Um,
functions back then? Did you know your type?
I did, and I think I just flat out got lucky. Well, I didn't know for a long time that I was self above tribe. That was till much later. I didn't realize that I was a feeler because I would crap on the feelers, you know, NFs, hippies, and make fun of them because I was this NT.
Right. And you
And then I
explained it
realized,
was masculine later, right? Like you figured.
yeah, then I realized, oh wait, I'm an NF. I'm using T. And now that like I hang around friends or Shan that have like real savior T, I'm like, oh man, I'm totally not savior T. Like I can figure stuff out, but I really fumble around with it. I get it done, but like the savior T's are sharp. Like they think it through, boom, and I'm like, well, that's definitely, you know, now I can see it. Now I can see it, right? So, so it was around that time Shannon starts kind of coming on board, and kind of fast forwarding the story, it was like sometime before the Vox video came out several years ago, where Vox did this video of like Myers-Briggs of pseudoscience, and it really kind of shocked the community, and we were gone at the time. And I was like, see, it's not super scientific. And so I was kind of just getting ready to kind of let it go because I was wanting to move more towards, look, I gotta get my life in order for real. I can't hold on to weirdo stuff, you know? And so we just started playing around with it because it didn't matter. We're like, it's probably pseudoscience, this probably sucks, whatever. But we started to apply a lot of kind of the processes that we had learned in the RC business and kind of like learning how to make things work through prototyping. And we just thought, you know, why not try and see if we can track it to some degree?
And this was with Shannon already?
Yeah, it's with Shannon. It was mostly with Shannon. My other business partner at the time, he wasn't really interested in it. So Shannon was. So, and Shannon being the opposite of me, she's like, oh yeah, let's make this like ST actually scientifically real or throw it out, you know? So we just started playing around with, well, they say if you can objectively track it with two different people, that would be something. It's much like an example that was given to me was like, when a baseball player throws a really fast pitch at 100 miles an hour and people don't believe it, they track it with a radar gun. Right. But it's not until they get like a second radar gun, they're like, okay, you know, that it doesn't prove it, but it's like, okay, now that there's two radar guns, you know?
Yeah, the statistics are better.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, I get the game. Like if we could at least do that, because that would be free, we wouldn't have to go to a college. It's something we could do here at home on our spare time.
Right. And this is when you still believed in Myers-Briggs, like you didn't have anything else, any other parts going yet?
I believed in it, but I didn't care. And I think that was a key thing.
Right.
Is I was ready to shoot it in the head. Like if we, because we believed in a lot of things. Like I believed in, you know, I used to believe in a lot of conspiracies or different kind of natural health cures and different things that I've just kind of thought were super real. That I've kind of, as I've gotten older, basically, and looked into it, and you're responsible to pay the bills and actually make things work in reality. I'm like, that's not quite as real as I thought it was. I kind of let it go. So I was expecting Myers-Briggs to possibly be like that. I didn't care, and therefore I could ruthlessly test it, you know, test fly it like with the planes and be like, right, I have no dog in this fight. If it fails, I don't care. If it wins, I don't care. And so it was that process. We just got into kind of playing this objective typing game where we would challenge ourselves to see if we could get the same type. And then that forced us to start uncovering these extra coins. And
this wasn't like a business idea or anything. This was just on the side?
It was on the side. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah. We did not, we don't, Shani and I don't have any psychology background. We don't have any, we never had any original interest in this kind of stuff. We were more like, I love business and figuring things out, you know, the RC airplane stuff. I liked kind of the business structure of it more. Wow. And Shani's more of an artist. She did photography. So we were using psychology just as a tool, you know, because we're living our little lives. I'm going to be the master of this. And psychology is a great tool.
Right.
And that was part of the humbling process, is just like realizing, oh, I don't get to do what I want to do the rest of my life. There's something here. We've accidentally opened something up here that it does work. Unfortunately, you know, at the time we're thinking, oh crap, what do we do? And now what? Like now that it does work, we're responsible for that. And so that was a big, that was a lot of walking in the streets at night for a long time, for a year or two, and crying and really carrying the weight of like, oh no, like, what do we now do with this?
Right.
This means my life, I don't get to go be Dave Powers, the superhero anymore. I now have to be a servant to this psychology stuff. And then honestly, like just sharing some personal stuff, that is still a very hard thing. Like when Shani and I are going through the stress of like, people will come to us with emotional issues or
man,
all the, right.
That's hard. That's like, right. You have like tons of emails and you're doing videos. You're really busy, both of you.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so we feel the pressure, like, yeah, you know, it'll be once a week or once a month, like one of us or both of us are just like, oh man, like it'll just be hard. And, you know, you'll cry, you'll have a hard time. And just like, there's meaning here. We've got to do this. We've got to keep going. We've got to keep moving this forward and getting this to other people. So it's the responsibility and the meaning that keeps driving us, because it's not always fun. It's becoming more fun,
Yeah,
as we're
yeah.
getting stuff done. But like,
Well, your videos are fun as hell, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how we got pulled into it. The universe tricked us into it. And that's the fast version of the story.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So then, did Shannon also know her type at the beginning, or?
No, I thought she was an ENFJ, and we had narrowed her down to an
F.
ENTJ. Yeah, I
Wow.
thought she was F. She's always emotional, and you see her on the video. She's always laughing, but then
Right.
equal
Yeah.
amount
Yeah.
of crying. So like all that laughing, also the same amount of crying, which is not on the video. Not so
Right.
much now, but when she's younger. And so just like, oh, there's so much emotion. This has got to be F. But then like this masculine TE, but we didn't know what it was. So we're just like, I don't know. We called her like a hybrid between an ENTJ and an ENFJ. We didn't know any
Right.
difference. And it was because she was a jumper with the TESE, and my business partner was not. It's about 50-50 people that are jumping or not. And we're like, oh, wait a minute. This is explaining, Shannon's a chaos monkey. This is TE gather. This is TESE.
So how did you have the balls to like go against all of Myers-Briggs and say there are jumpers?
Yeah, like, so here's a story I don't think I've ever shared before, because it's like it's so weird. So like the way we discovered the jumpers is the same way we discovered every single one of these coins. So we started with 16 and then 32, etc. And each one had their own weird dramatic story of like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the wait a minute moment with the jumpers, which was the one that really kind of unleashed
Opened
the whole
everything.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it was this kid named Elliot Rogers. You can look him up on the internet, and he did did some mass killings. He had killed some people at school and then went on a killing rampage in town. And so I was staying up one night working, and I have Live Leak open, and so the videos just came in of this horrible event, and I was like fascinated, like, why would somebody do this? Why would somebody kill their friends like this? And so I watched all of his YouTube videos that he had where he is and he ended up killing himself. And so he's expressing all of his lead up, his psychology. He's in his car telling the stories. And then he has this really long blog that's tons of pages long, which I grabbed it off the internet before it was gone. I read the whole thing over and over and over again. And I kept just soaking in the psychology of like, why would this kid do this?
Right.
And what I continued to see is that he was like IP, but he was like self above tribe, but that controlling. So like I couldn't peg him on a Myers-Briggs thing. I'm like, all I can see is this guy is self above tribe, and he is controlling. Like he's skipping his SE, and he's skipping his extroverted decider. And I'm like, what is this? And I would go over it and over and over, and I just started to realize that this is self above tribe and organize. And then I'm like, okay, so is he jumping his second function? And then I'm like, okay, was that because there's something was wrong with him? Is that why? Right. And then so I'm like bringing this to Shan, and then we started really talking about it and looking at it, and then kind of looking at our business partner, like, yeah, he's an INTJ and Dave's an INTJ, but you guys are not alike. Like, like my business partner is the TE, go along, great idea, and I'm just kind of selfish, my way, screw the tribe, more vibe to me.
Right.
And that's when we started to realize, wait a minute, there it is again. And then we would see it in Shan. And that's when we started to realize, well, it was from this very tragic event where I was doing a deep dive into this guy's life, because he had all these videos and he had all this content about himself and his point of view and what he was going through.
So you could type him, yeah.
I could thoroughly type him, because he was giving out so much deep, painful information and his point of view about how he kept going back to the same information to try and find an answer. Right. And he couldn't find it in the same information. I'm like, oh my God, that's what I do. But he was so self above tribe. I'm like, what is this? So it was through that. It was stuff like that one of us would bring this proposal to the team. Like, what do you think of this? And then we would have 10 other ideas that were wildly as crazy that would just fall out within 48 hours. They wouldn't track, you wouldn't see them, you couldn't measure them. But that was the one that stuck. And then from there, we started to see it everywhere.
That's so interesting, man. It's like you just stumbled on it, sort of thing. Like the universe fed it to you. Yeah.
In a totally tragic, random way. Yeah. That's why it's hard to share, because it's like,
For sure, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's change the subject. We're getting too
right. Yeah.
serious. Okay. So like how aware are you of your own functions now that you're doing this?
I was just, it was funny. I was like writing an email to somebody yesterday. I was writing like, I'm becoming more consciously aware of just how unconsciously aware I really am. Like,
Wow.
I think I'm starting to really realize how unconscious I am. And then like Shani will pull out her phone and do home videos or whatever. And I'm still getting that thing of like, wow, I really sound that way, or really, it comes across that way. I feel like I'm getting more emotionally settled in the illusion of how self-delusional I am. It helps a lot. And I really recommend this to anybody. And I'm sure you can agree as well. Like
Yeah.
doing a video and then editing, like you have to edit it or at least watch it over. Like
Yeah.
doing your own
For
video
sure.
of whatever and then watching it over, like especially on a regular basis, just like,
I feel like deleting all my videos every time I
I
watch
know, right? Yes, totally.
them. Yeah.
So, like even right now, as I'm watching it back, I'm like, oh my gosh, your goofy smile, you're such a dork. Shut up. You know. So that helps a lot. That helps a lot. But I think really also just accepting that truth. So therefore, when the universe smacks me in the head, they're like, Dave, you're being a jerk. You're being controlling. You're being consumeless. I I am at least emotionally expecting to hear that. I don't have like layers and layers of resistance to that like I used to have, So now it hopefully, and again, you have to ask somebody outside of myself. I'm shooting for a place to where it would take you 10 minutes to break down all my crap rather than hours or days to get through to me that I'm missing something.
Yeah.
But
Awesome. Okay, so I also wanted to know something about your release strategy, because like it's like you were so prepared and you hit the ground running. Like how did you develop that such a complex strategy on how you were going to
yeah.
release? And it was just so successful, and I don't know how successful you wanted to be, but I don't. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely met and exceeded our goals. Like we've got the class filled up, we got the YouTube going. So it was a plan that was in the works, I would say in 2012 is when we really kind of decided like, all right, we knew we wanted to not do the RC business any longer than we had to. Like that business was only fun
yeah.
for the first couple of years. So like I'm talking like by 2009, I was like, all right, I'm done with this. So
You
what's
didn't know it was
next?
going to be a practice business from the beginning.
Right.
Oh,
Just
okay.
you're a young kid, you're seeing an opportunity, you're jumping in, and so it was around 2012. We're like, okay, this might be going more towards the personality business, which is one reason why, going back to what I was saying earlier, like we wanted to make sure if it was scientific or not, because if we're going to actually commit to this and it's BS,
Yeah.
that's going to fall apart long term. So once we kind of got the jumpers and we started to see, okay, there's something here that can be measured to some degree, we're like, okay, we can go all in on the next business would be this personality business. And we were using our experience with social media and having a community in the RC business. So right around 2012, we dramatically changed our RC business to the great detriment to our customers. Like they did not like all of our changes, but we weren't, we shifted our FIs of like, we're not trying to please them anymore. We're trying to maximize using this as a practice business. So we would create YouTube videos for the RC community that were just practice on how to be on the front of the camera, how to do jokes, how to set up production, how to organize, how to set up all the software and stuff. And so we had worked out all the logistics of how to do that, mirroring it on the personality business. So we would like frame it out on our
Right.
Google Docs. And as we would learn something in the RC business, painfully, we would then like update it over here. And so we're using the RC business as our map on how to do the personality business, largely just having a PhD in how to do everything wrong. There's only a few different ways you could possibly do it. So
For sure.
that's
Yeah.
kind of how we did it is, and I recommend to anybody watching, like having that, a lot of people are like, what do I do in life? I don't know what you do, but pick something that you hate or you don't like that much that you can use as a practice space. And then when you finally run into that random thing that you do love, you kind of have this map that you can just instantly kind of transfer over, and you have a cheat sheet on how to get it started, So that's
Yeah.
how we did it. We pulled it from 10 years of hard RC experience.
Wow. So then you also had like the YouTube videos going up in the RC, so you're transferring that over, and
Right.
then you had a website, so you transferred that over.
Yeah, the same kind of the same kind of framework. So we would find out, use Wix, not WordPress. Okay, so we transfer that over. Lay it out, do the videos this way, not that way. So we would transfer over a lot of the lessons as much of the lessons that we could learn. Because because a lot of it's social media, marketing, branding,
Yeah.
production. Consistency is the hardest. Consistency is the hardest thing to do. Like, how do you do a video that you air? What are you doing videos like 5 days a week now or something like that? And so it's like, what do you do when you're in a bad mood? Like, you're not gonna, it's like, oh, you record on days when you're in a good mood, and then you have 2 days to be pissed off. Like, that's how you
Right.
do it. You plan on being in a bad mood.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just little clever stuff
Change
like
your
that.
shirt.
Exactly. Yeah. Let me switch into a new black shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all that stuff to just figure out. Yeah. We treated it like we respected when the internet came on, it was a great phenomenon. You're old enough. You know that you remember the old days.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
like TV was dominating, and it was all controlled and structured, and they had seasons. And a lot of the top YouTubers now are going back to that. They all are doing what we do. They create a production, and they have studios, and they have seasons, and they have writers, and they have editors, and they're turning it into a real business. So we just got on that train early.
Nice, man. Nice. Okay, so what about what about your like, I know you guys were talking about how you want this business to surpass you, like to continue after you're gone. And like, I think that's your big goal, right? To be able to
Right.
sustain it, and you develop a system that can be transferred to a new generation and to the community.
Right.
Yeah. So like,
Right.
so are you taking steps to do that already, or that's more like down the road, or?
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. Thank you. So learning what we've learned in all of our experience of business is like, to build a real business, it takes time. There's a big difference between building a business and a money-making opportunity. The RC business was a money-making opportunity. There's a lot of ways to get a lot of views and a lot of money and a lot of whatever you want fast, and then
Right.
it gets so much harder. So we're really, like, I feel like I'm 21 again. We have completed 13 months of our brand new business, and I'm telling myself, okay, the average business that turns into a real business, when I go back and I do the SC of like how long it takes them to build it, you're looking at the first 5 years, you're just calmly in the startup stage. Relax. Don't say yes to all the big deals yet. You're not scaled up yet. You're still working out your own issues. And so I'm looking at the first 5 years, hopefully a little less because I do have some experience. The first, let's say 3 to 5 years is just the startup stage where we're perfecting our own systems. And this year, and it's great to say this out loud with accountability, 2019, our goals are, my personal goal is by the end of 2019 to have 1 or even 2 people hired here in a real position, either part-time or full-time,
Right.
as kind of the operators. And then from there, when we can get 2 or 3 or 4 of us, then those 2, 3, or 4 can get 4, 5, or 6 and start building it really slow. Because the next stage in business is the rapid growth stage. And that's
Yeah.
where we died in the RC business. It got so big so fast, it just blew up. And the failure point was me and the systems, because I couldn't support that kind of structure. So I'm in no hurry to get to the next stage. So and then like one thing it's great to share with people is like, as great as all this stuff is that we're doing, and Dave and Shan are funny and friends on the video, and all this great psychology, all this amazing great stuff. There's a catch. There's always a catch. And the catch is, to really train somebody to do this at scale is just murder. It's a lot of years. That's the catch. So we're going to have a very hard time training people and bringing them on as staff, and then financially paying for them and so now you got to go back to the business world. So it's going to be a slow startup, but once we get that goal of a team of about 8 to 10 core business people that can objectively type, work as a team, show up on time, they know a little bit about business and all the rest, then that group can scale it up. So that's my real goal, is to get it to that group of 10, and then that group of 10 can level it up fast,
Yeah. I also see how it can be like even more work to train people and do your videos, and yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why we've set a goal for the end of 2018, is we wrote it on the whiteboard, and it was just like impossible. It was like, off with production by 2 p.m. And so when we first started the business last year, we were doing everything according to our plan, but we were still working all day and all night. We're still working 11:30 at night. And we're like, we're not going to have time to start a second business for financial reasons, let alone hire and train people, if we're working 12 hours a day ourselves. We need to find a way to get off work by 2 p.m. so we can do all this other stuff. And so the majority of 2018 was really getting our systems in place where we can get things faster and get off the clock. Therefore, it's 1:30 for me right now. I've
Yeah.
gotten the majority of my work done this, from 7 a.m. to noon, and therefore I have time to go do other stuff. So
That's crazy. Sleep above play, and you got your work done in the morning.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's hard. But yeah.
Awesome, man. Okay, so how are you guys coping with the all of the stress and stuff like that? Do you have vacation days? Do you have like videos prepared to go? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a really great schedule where every week it's usually Wednesday and Thursday we do recording.
Yeah.
And so we'll do a few classes or a few weeks of Q&As or a few weeks of YouTubes or whatever. And on that rotation, so it's slowly building up an archive. Like right now, I think we're about a month ahead for everything. So like I could take the next 3 weeks off of recording and no one would notice a thing, right?
Right.
So we're slowly building that up. But we learn from RC. It's just like a bread factory or a sandwich factory. Like you can't stack up too many loaves of bread in the stockroom because it starts to go stale. So we found like don't go past about maybe 2 months worth of archive. Otherwise, the videos are out of touch because things are moving so fast. So yes, we do stack up the videos. So we buy time off. And what we have found that really, really rejuvenates us, and we just discovered this this last year, is doing meetups. Like we've gone to Seattle and San Francisco and met with people in our class.
Yeah.
And that has been the biggest relaxing and rejuvenating experience for us. So like we're now living for the next meetup.
The tribe validation.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like all this work you're doing to kill yourself and like meet people in the physical reality and see how much love is in their life. Like, oh my gosh. And then like the hotels, it's nice and quiet. You can sleep. Like, so that's been our process, is stack up, sandbag these videos and then run out and do a meetup. And that's what we're kind of doing to manage the stress.
Nice. Yeah. Do you have any advice for people who are interested in this stuff and interested in your system? How they should go about learning it, how they should go about getting into it?
Yeah, I strongly recommend, and it's so hard to do, but I really recommend that people, I would say, well, first thing is dive in, have fun, and be an idiot and gobble it all up as much as you can in the first month or so. I mean, that's what we're all going to do anyways, right?
Right.
So when you're done with that, really pick something, really pick a part at a time, because you're looking at this code that unfolds to 512. And I would really recommend try and follow the same path. This is very kind of biased, but like the way that we discovered it was one at a time. I would really recommend, like, maybe you want to study the letters first: sensory, intuition, thinking, feeling, or maybe you want to study the temperaments or human needs or the functions. Pick something that you can focus in on and master that one part, because you can use that to leverage it other ways. We see people in the community that will do that, and they slowly get much more success than the people that try and get it all at one time. So that would be my recommendation: is go a part at a time.
Cool. Okay, so can we talk about your functions a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah? How they interact and stuff? All right, let's do it. All right, so tell me about your NI. How do you experience it?
So my NI, as well as I see a lot of other people's NIs, like it's a frustration with the present. It's a frustration even with the past. It's a frustration of always living in the future, especially with NI-FI.
Okay.
So like, now that I'm older and I've kind of been able to get past a lot of my personal issues and childhood issues, and I've settled, relationships with my dad or whatever. Now when I go on a walk at night and I'm sad and I cry, I'm always crying about the future. Like I'm emotionally living in the future. I care about the future. I live in the future. And it's just like, I don't care what happened in the year 1920, and I don't care what happens in the year 2020, because that's the present. I care about what happens in 2050. So that is great and all, right? But then the frustration is, stuff will hit you during the day that is extremely important. You got to get done. You got to like pull yourself out of that world and deal with the present. So that I see as a big frustration with NI, as well as I see other people kind of complaining about that as well.
Are you able to stop and smell the flowers every so often?
I am, but it's through a lot of discipline of starving the NI. Like it feels to me like a muscle imbalance. Like all you want to do is hit chest and arms and you just rock it, but it's like, you gotta, like, I have to deliberately choose to not think about the future and not work on some amazing plan and not flow chart stuff out. I have to deliberately continue to force myself to get more interested in the things of the here and now and work on those. And so it's painful to see that my amazing chest and shoulders, my amazing NI will never ever reach its full potential because I have to dial it down to give to the energy. And when I do that, it flows. It's when like one is wanting to like race to the future and I have to deal with things today. That's when there's a massive frustration.
Wow. Okay. Is that like your consciousness as well as your NI? Like you feel that that's what your consciousness is?
Gosh, like, yeah, like what my consciousness is. It 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 feels all. I guess it would be the identity. I don't know. Like, I guess a lot of it is the FI
Right.
because I'm just pulling in stuff, and like it does feel like it's the FI, like really trying to get down to what is important, what is my priorities, and I'll use the TE all day long to like sift through stuff, but it's like it just feels like a slave to the FI and the NI.
To
It's
the
my
FI.
helpful, yeah, it's my helpful little partner to let's go play the logic game to sift through ideas. But I'm trying to get down to, I'm constantly trying to figure out what are my priorities. What do I got to do? What's the plan? Where's this going? It's almost more like, where is this going, whether I like it or not? Feminine and I'm like, this is going to happen with or without me. I want to
Right.
know what the flow of the river is so I can get on board with the universe and then I can decide what it is that I want to do on a part of that. You
Right.
know, like when YouTube came out in 2004 for us, or 2008, like I was the last of my friends to have email. I hated the internet, but I saw that this is the path of the future, like it or not. I'm like, all right, I better start figuring out my priorities there.
Okay. And so like all of your likes, everything that you like and hate and all that stuff when you're FI, right? Is
Yeah,
is that something like that you want to use your TE to bring to the tribe? Like
right.
to innovate and bring it out? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's where
It's
the
just like
motivation.
yeah, it's just like a little kid that's like, I watched all these movies and The Matrix is the best movie, and I just want to find clever ways to convince everybody to watch the same movie that I like. It's like it's that
That's a great
simple and
analogy.
childish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give
Awesome.
you reasons. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And your sleep. Can you talk about how you experience your sleep when you're in your, your introspective mode?
Yeah, yeah. So for me, seeing myself in context of other people that are sleep consume
Right.
versus the people that are sleep blast play, like
Right.
me and Casey Neistat and Henry Rollins, like the sleep blast plays, myself included, are just maniacs. And that was something that I didn't see in myself till recently because I always saw myself as extremely sleepy, extremely introverted, the most introverted. But it was finally this last year where Shannon's like, no, you are a maniac. Like, for example, we would take a break from work and we would go out with this big, beautiful lawn in the backyard here in Portland, Oregon. And we would just sit on the lawn and like relax and depressurize. And like, what am I doing? I can't sit still. I'm getting up and I'm picking weeds and I'm hoeing the thing and I'm throwing sticks in the neighbor's yard. Like I have to like go agitate the outside universe with this manic blast play. So like I wasn't aware of how psychotically extroverted I was, of like in the sense of I was demanding feedback from the universe, not necessarily with people all the time, but like always working on stuff. Where Shani was much more, she would go into that consumed sleep and just sit
Right.
there and, you know?
So like she's the
So,
extrovert and she's more introverted than you in some ways.
and it's so accurate. So, because
Wow.
we're both on the line, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, so I was totally unaware of how much extroverted energy I had until I started to see people at scale. And then once I
Right.
saw sleep consumes and I saw the other sleep last, like the Casey Neistats, I'm like, oh crap, this is kind of embarrassing. But my sleep side is it's very selfish. It's very self-preserve. I'm always trying to look of how I can do skip out on things that aren't needed so I can preserve time and energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Energy preservation.
Efficiency. Looking for
Yeah,
efficiency. Yeah. Yeah. I know what
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. Efficiency for the sake of moving around pain, because extra information or extra time is extremely painful. It
Painful.
just
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's definitely motivated by pain. It's not for fun. It's not like this is a great thing to do. It's like I'm motivated by pain. It's painful to spend too much energy.
Interesting.
It's been a big hassle for me my whole life to manage diet and sleep and energy drinks. I've always just been a nut with that, just having the hardest time to just maintain a normal sleep work schedule. Just an
Right.
idiot, just a total idiot. I've had adrenal burnout twice in my early 30s, which was a nightmare. You know, I was in bed for a year. It was just an absolute moron with trying to manage sleep, because I'm just too obsessed about saving energy. So then I'll like expend way too much and just get this classic swing, you know? So it's still
Right.
an issue for me.
And what about your consume last? Is it really hard? Like,
I think it's really hard for those around me. I think I'm
yeah.
cluelessly, I think it's great. There was a kid that I was talking on the phone with. He was an ISTP guy, and he was sleep last play. And it really stuck with me. This is a few months ago. He's like, Dave, when I do the demon consume, I'm realizing when I'm consuming, it's very immature stuff. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I'm doing. Like when I'm consuming, you know, I'm watching idiot YouTube videos, or, you know, something, or just movies or something,
Right.
not, and like, I've thought about that ever since. And like tonight, or like, you know, I'm trying to rig my schedule that before bed or in the morning. I think it's more happening in the morning as I'm kind of processing this out loud now. Like if I'm going to consume material from like Robert Greene, the 48 Laws of Power guy or something,
Right. Hey.
again, I'm just going over information I already know, which is not even, you know, just,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, whatever. Like I'm trying. It's like, I'm finding that I have to do it in the morning, um, because like consuming in new information is very hard, because my sleep last play feels responsible that I have to own it and I have to now do something with it. So it's like,
Interesting.
I got to limit the consume because now I'm responsible. So it's a lot easier to know less. Therefore I can do less.
Interesting. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that IP guy with missing consume is obviously going to be a lot better at consume than you as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Very good observation. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's a big journey for me right now. And I feel like I'm just now getting started. I feel like I really haven't started that well. Like I do not have a super healthy, consistent consume. I
Well,
keep falling off of it because it gets hard. It gets draining.
okay. What I found, I was looking at information processing, and that when you're when you're consuming something, you're adding information that maybe you don't have room to add,
Right.
right? And so maybe
Yeah.
you're already full of information, and that's why
Right.
it's painful. It hurts to get more because, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it feels.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and
Even,
you need to just blast in order to get that information out, and then you can get more in.
yeah, that's true. That's I end up abusing Shannon at breakfast time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the logistics. Thankfully, she understands and she works with me, but that's exactly what I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to work out a healthy way to consume, because it's so true, man. As soon as I watch like 20 minutes of something interesting, I have to go talk about it for an hour. And then therefore I'm wearing Shannon out. But like that's what I'm trying to manage. Same thing everyone else is trying to do. Like, how do I logistically work this into a real life schedule? You know, so that's the
Right.
process.
Right. Awesome. Okay, and what about your SE demon? How does that hit you?
That's a great
Well,
question.
like
Yeah, like,
us in the class already know it a little bit, I guess, but you talk about it a lot. But yeah.
yeah. It's funny because you'll see me like when Shanny's talking that I'll just be kind of like zoning out and not listening or whatever. It's just like the SE demon is I'm constantly deleting stuff I've already decided is not important. You know, even though it
Uh,
could be something extremely important sitting right there on the desk, I've already decided it's not important, so it just gets deleted. So it's this constant overactive of like I've already internally decided I don't need to listen to that, I don't need to look at that or whatever.
it's
I
like the
have
where
found,
are your glasses? And they're on your forehead sort of thing.
yeah,
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 where are
it
my
totally
glasses,
is.
Shen?
Yeah. What has helped with that a lot, like I'm still a total, you know, idiot, but like not like I was when I was 30, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And what changed it for me is we moved into this house it was a hilarious deal that we got. Like the guy was moving to San Diego, we got it in the middle of the winter, like it was a great deal, but it was like almost like a setup, like, oh, you're gonna pay for that. So like the house was falling apart, the guy's leaving town, it's a brand new management, like we just got so screwed, right? So this house was just like, it's flooding, there's septic tank, it's falling apart. And so it forced me to take on all of this physical reality. And what I feel really helped it is when in the morning I would do like a daily check. So I'd walk around the perimeter like a security guard with my little notepad, and I would be like, all right, I am going to go open my eyes for 20 minutes and just go observe. And that habit has helped me so well. So it's like I'm cluelessly ignoring everything unless I'm deciding for 20 minutes a day to go look around. And so I do it in the morning and I do it at night as a routine for sure. And then if I accidentally see something during the day, great, extra credit. But at least I know I can catch something on the back end, you know,
Right.
on the back
Nice,
ends.
man. Nice. Okay, and then you have your ST play, right? So that's like your fascination with the army and all of the tough
Yeah,
guy stuff. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if it's like Shanny and I are really kind of learning right now this week in our own personal lives that like as a quote unquote NF, I'm responsible for the ST. Somehow, some way, the universe demands that I fulfill the ST because that would be the one thing that I'm really rebelling against. Oh, it doesn't need to be
Yeah, it's your
physically.
opposite. Yeah.
Right, right. And same with Shani, like as she's becoming more responsible for the vibes of the house,
The vibes. Yeah.
you know, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so the military stuff and the physical, the construction, the things like that, it's like the ultimate challenge for me personally to do. And so like it's a peacocking thing. Like if I could really get physical structure and order in reality, if I could take these things, these abstract things that I'm valuing and turn them all the way into physical reality that others could follow, like that would be the
Oh,
ultimate.
wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah. Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Well,
Yeah.
I want to cut this short so this doesn't stay too long, but yeah, thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you. Thank you
Yeah,
for
man.
coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much, dude.
Blast.
This is great.
Okay. Have a good one. Bye.
All right. All right.